Hola amigos, los saludo de nuevo con mucho gusto. Tenemos un video muy importante. Ustedes saben que estos booms sónicos que se están dando estruendos extraños a través de Estados Unidos y a través del mundo no tienen explicación. Las autoridades civiles, las autoridades policíacas y sobre todo el ejército no tienen respuesta a estos extraños booms que sacuden casas, levantan los cimientos de las casas, sacuden las ventanas, sacuden las puertas. Parece que hay un terremoto terrible ocurriendo. Las mascotas se vuelven locas. Empiezan a sonar las alarmas de los carros al por mayor. Se rasgan. Hay grietas en el cemento. Hay grietas en las carreteras. Es algo bastante chocante para las personas estar viviendo con estos intensos booms. Y sobre todo se activan los servicios de emergencia, los bomberos, protección civil. Y nunca hay una explicación lógica para lo que está ocurriendo. Muchos en el mundo de la conspiración han dicho que estas son guerras subterráneas de los alienígenas positivos contra los negativos. Y que son luchas como las guerras de Dolce que se dieron hace mucho. Y bueno, yo pienso que ese no es el caso. Compartía esa opinión. Sin embargo, también se han visto cosas extrañas en los cielos cuando esto ocurre, por lo cual no me parece que sea una cuestión de esa naturaleza. Y estas cuestiones raras en los cielos se han visto a partir de las alarmas de los autos. Bueno, ahora tenemos la explicación de un visualizador remoto que estuvo recientemente con la entrevistadora Linda Moulton Howe en su canal, que nos va a hablar de esta cuestión, ¿no? Para que observen qué es lo que tiene que decir, y me parece que es la explicación más lógica que hay en estos momentos al respecto de este fenómeno. Recuerden, estamos en Patreon, este es nuestro portal. Desde $1 al mes pueden acceder al contenido extra. Tenemos videos y artículos inéditos en el canal. También estamos pasando pues lo que las redes sociales del GAFAT no consideran apto para los canales que teníamos. Aquí los estamos poniendo y pueden acceder desde $1 al mes. Se descuenta mensualmente de su tarjeta y agradezco como siempre a mis colegas los patrocinadores. Sin más, los dejo con el video impresionante de Buddy Holly en entrevista con Linda Moulton Howe. Que pasen un excelente día.
And tonight I'm going to start with who, what, why is causing the loud, window rattling, house shaking, cement cracking booms from West Coast to East Coast in North America, Mexico, Central America, South America, Europe, and beyond. Loud booms that have been reported for a decade since 2011 and largely remain unidentified. Hear now about what could be behind all of the loud, mysterious booms is Buddy Bolton.
I thought it was some geological something. Some tectonics are cracking the earth and it made these booms. But the viewing was very different. I sent you a drawing. There's two factors. The main factor is these very special space planes. One is more diamond shape, one is more arrowhead shape.
Which would be larger?
The one on the right, the diamond shape, is about 85, 90 feet. These are U.S. black projects. From my knowledge, there's two different types currently still operating, and they do super hypersonic booms. And these go from the Nevada and California bases, cross the United States, and go all the way to Eastern Europe and Germany. When they travel, oftentimes, they will travel on the borders of states and countries, literally on the lines, just to obfuscate itself a little bit. And what's really unique about these craft is they have three different types of engines. They're made of a composite material that has never gone public, and they can go into orbit and come back out of orbit. So this is very different than any other ultra-high flying plane. So these craft are going into space, going into high orbit, not flying free in space out of the Earth's gravity, but flying in an ultra-high orbit and coming back down again. And they break not only the sound barrier, but they go hypersonic as well. So these are tremendous cracking booms.
Would you explain for the audience what you mean about three different engine types?
As you go higher and higher in our atmosphere, there's different physics involved. The air is heavier the closer to the surface of the planet. And as you go higher and higher, your engines become less efficient. So there's planes out now that have two different engines. So when they get very high, they can switch over to what's called a ramjet. So the oxygen that's coming in from the thinner, lighter air that's up there passes through these engines and is sparked, and that oxygen is used as a fuel. So it's a ramjet. It's the second engine. They also have this new engine. It's called Aerospike, Aerospike. And it's a type of engine that most people have never seen, but it has a cone or a pyramid shape in the middle of the exhaust. So these craft have traditional engines, they have these ramjet engines, and they have these Aerospikes, 3 different types of engines for the different types of air. And it's made of this black material. You can tell it can go in and out of space because it's segmented. It's almost like scales on the craft.
Have you ever remote viewed and seen hexagons fitted together on the surface or the underbelly of any of the UFO craft?
Absolutely, more than once. And other shapes, like they could be pentagons as well, too. I'm not sure why the shapes would be different, but hexagons would fit better together than almost any other shape aside from squares.
Would you explain your percentages of what you conclude is behind the big booms around the world?
I think 90% of them are these space planes, these black project space planes that are going hypersonic, coming in and out of the atmosphere, going into orbit, and when they take on different engines or at different points in their ascent or descent, they're breaking sound barriers and they're breaking the hypersonic barrier and making tremendous cracks and booms.
And your bottom line is that you think 90% of the booms over the last decade that have been reported around the world are from these United States space planes.
Yes, and then the other 10% are meteorites coming into the atmosphere and exploding very quickly.
That would explain why in the last 10 years, with all of these booms that have rattled windows and doors and even cracked cement in driveways, Homeland Security has never made a comment. But now it would explain because Homeland Security would be taking orders from higher authorities in the Pentagon. You don't talk about what we are doing. You just let everybody argue about what the booms are. We're not going to reveal our advanced planes.
Yes, and you know what? You haven't heard senators talking about it either. I'm sure they've been briefed.
And let's go on to question number 2. Will there be an Earth existential event between now, January 2022, and the year 2026?
I felt an existential danger in 2024 from a Carrington-level event. The Carrington event means about 100 years ago there was a huge solar flare that knocked out telephones and lines and anything electric at the time. It was super powerful. And if one of those happens today, they predict the devastation would be colossal to all of the satellites, all of our technology. Everything from vehicles to computers to watches to phones to ATMs to everything would get affected by it. They would get a huge input of electrons and energy, and so much of everything would get fried. There's stories about the last one where people were operating on a telegraph and sparks jumped out and zapped people. So there'd be even physical damage and injury. So I got this Carrington-level event in 2024